Asalaamu Alaykum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I kind of had a pre description and all of these links in the description box as to kind of like what I'm going to cover today, but I couldn't find it, so I will I will put those links after this is posted, inshallah. So inshallah, this video, I was kind of thinking about like everything that's going on in our climate from, I mean, everywhere. How can us as Muslimas, as Muslims, especially as Muslim women, how can we support one another? What can we do in order to help each other? And so I have a few ideas. So, okay, so I'll start off with a Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Naomi Saif. And so the question is, Muslimas, how can we help and support one another? And so we have so many different ways. It's case by case. And so please forgive me if these examples that I have are, you know, not all that. But if you have something that you can share, please put it in the comments and educate me. We can educate each other, inshallah. So the number one thing, and I know that I'm working on it myself, is to be informative, not opinionated. I feel like in this age of social media, when we have, such easy access to these social tools, and you can be an empire of your own, like media, you can have a media empire, that I think that sometimes it's easy for us to be impulsive, emotional, and to just go on opinion and go on emotion when it comes to certain things that might be going on. And I think that while that's okay, I think we need to use that passion and those emotions to kind of gear us towards being more informative. For example, say, we're upset about so many things, alhamdulillah, and we're also grateful for so many things, alhamdulillah. But when there is an area where we feel passionate, where there's an area where we feel that is what I feel needs to be fixed, I feel like we need to be informed about it. We need to study. We need to talk to experts. We need to be around people who know what's going on. Say there's an issue with your school. If your children are in a school, or you yourself are a student, and you feel that there are these, certain injustices or these things going on that you feel are not fair, instead of just, you know, being impulsive and emotional, that's not fair, and going off and having an attitude or being confrontational, um, it's best to be informative, to go and to look at the policy and to find out what can be done, and get, you know set up meetings with the appropriate people, and and form a group, and take a more informative, more professional type of stance. And I see that happening, in regards to, there are lots of groups that are being formed, a lot of support groups, whether it's social, whether it's political, and that's good, so I'm just encouraging that we do that. And in being that we should be more informative, we should also be solution driven, so we know what the problems are, we see what the problems are, but it can be sometimes it can be depressing, it can come off as sometimes pessimistic, when people are just always pointing out problems, when people are always, that's my thing. For example, when I read a good book or I listen to a lecture and it's about a topic that I feel so fired up about, and I'm like, okay, I agree. And then we get to the end and there is no solution. Do you know what I mean? Alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh. So I feel like we have to be solution driven. So in the example that I just gave about, you know, being or reading a book or listening to a lecture about someone who can feel you, someone who can point out, someone who can even educate you on, here are the problems, here is what's going on, and is what's broken, and they don't have a solution. I think that that's sometimes dangerous. I think that, sometimes that can make you feel even worse. At least that's how I felt, especially when it comes to this huge problem that we're having with racism and police brutality and drugs in our communities and people being gunned down. And I'm like, okay, yes, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem. And we're hearing everyone pointing out the problems, and everyone is correct and everyone is right. But I think that we need to usher in those that may have the solutions. We need to have conversations about what to do, what are the what are solutions. And I know that there are a lot of solutions and a lot of work that's being done in the background. And I feel like those that are doing the work behind the scenes perhaps maybe need to come out and just kind of like let us know sometimes, more often. I know they do that. Listen, this is what we need to do. This is a petition. This is how long it's going to take. These are the steps in order to, what I'm saying? Like, instead of just being uh focusing on a problem. So that's one opinion, is to be solution driven. So, and that whole thing, number one, I actually have 3 points. And how can we support each other? So the first one, be informative, not opinionated, is to know what the problem is, be solution driven. And the other, actually, there are four. So it's be informative, which I'm kind of talking about now. Another one is to support your community, which I'll go over, and I have lots of links. As I said in the beginning of this, when I set this live thing up, I put in the description box a bunch of links, but I couldn't figure it out, so I had to start from scratch. But inshallah, after I'm done and I post this, I'm gonna go back and I'm going to include the links to all of these businesses and all of these sisters that I bring up, inshaAllah. So, okay, so support your community. Number three is offer social and emotional support. And number four, family and home life. So let's just wrap up number one. Muslimas, how can we help and support each other? We can be more informative. Let's get educated. Whether it's we want to eat healthy, let's read books, let's talk to people, let's go to a nutritionalist, let's talk to our doctors, let's get ourselves checked out, let's be informed. That's just one example. Let's not just be emotionally driven and impulsive. Um, don't waste your times on don't waste your time on things you can't change, and make sure to fix things that are in, like, in your area, like in your world, like in your life, before you try to go out and try and save the world. So try to keep it where it's not going to be hard on you to go and try and invest. So okay, so be informative. Number two is supporting your community. And when I'm saying supporting your community, I mean, of course, I believe black owned businesses, those of the African diaspora, colored businesses. But at the same time, I believe that as Muslims, we are to be. It's like we are supposed to come together in the public square on the base of ummah. We're not supposed to come together in the ummah. I mean, in the public square as tribes. While we have our tribes, yes, and they're beautiful and they are diverse and they are different, and we may look at other communities and we say, look at the Asians, look at how they're doing it. Look at how they, look at how, but they all come together under the band of that of being Asian. It doesn't matter if they're Korean, if they're Vietnamese, if they're Chinese, whatever. That's just an example. Another example is like the Hispanic community. You say, oh, look at the Hispanics. They have the grocery stores. They have this, that, and the third, and they all come together. They come together under what? Oh, the Mexicans, the El Salvadorians, the Cubans. So, but I think that us as Muslims, we have to come together under the banner of the Deen. We have to come together under Islam, and that's going to mean incorporating and coming together, and all of these different nations and all of these different tribes having to come together and work with each other, because I feel like we've tried to do it so many different ways. I know I read a book, and it's by an Afro-Cuban author. Her name is, I think Marian Anderson, forgive me. And where she was from Chicago, where I'm from, and she tried to, her and her husband, I believe this, I read it a while ago, but they were successful attorneys, I think, and they try to live a one entire year just investing in Black communities. And it was so hard. It was like so hard. And that's one of the examples of what I stated earlier in us knowing what the problem is, but we really don't have a solution. You know, when I read that book, I was fired up and I was like, wow, and it's a really good book. And she highlights and she brings up all of these wonderful businesses in the Chicagoland area and these inspiring stories of these Black owned businesses. And but then towards the end, it's like, you know, so I don't know. I feel like we need to be more, we need to hear more solutions. We need to hear more happy endings, you know, like we need to be more happy endings, and then we need to make them happen. You know, like we can't just wait for someone to give us the story and wait for the happy ending, as I had to even remind myself. We have to try and make it by Allah's permission. So we should support our community, and that's all Muslims. Yes, yes, the African diaspora, yes, Black owned businesses, yes, yes, yes. But you know, there's nothing wrong if you want to get some biryani. There's nothing wrong if you want to go, you know, to the. There's nothing wrong, you know. And so I feel like if your dollar has to go outside of your community, inshallah, put it in the ummah. Inshallah, keep it in the masjid. Inshallah, you know, keep it in that way, and then go and extend yourself. You know, Allah, the Quran states that He made us into different tribes, right, to get to know one another. And sometimes we have to introduce that to our brothers and sisters who may not know about our culture, whatever it may be, or you know. And it's okay to even learn about other people's culture. You're not going to lose your own by doing that. So, but a few businesses that I wanted to mention, just a few, and like I said, I'm going to put the links in the description box. You know, as women, and for us women is one business is called Essential Nutrients, and this is a natural hair care line. And one of my friends, the Shakura, she brought me some like hair serum, and well, she had the hair serum, she won't give it to me, but she gave me this oh my gosh, I forget, it was kind of like a cream, and it was so light. It smelled so good, and my hair is super, it's super curly, it's dry. And usually I have to put, you know, all this product in it, and alhamdulillah, like mashallah, I washed my hair and I put that on, and it was good for a while. It was good for a few days. So I'm gonna put the link. And these are all sisters, these are Muslim sisters, and these are all Black owned businesses, mashallah. So we also have Sister Levon of Eyes Eye Creations. I love this sister. Like, I know this sister. And she has oils and hats and wraps and nose chains and bags and much, much more. I'm going to put the description box. So I'll try to go through this a little faster so I can get to my other points. So then we have, if you're ever in the SoCal area, my friend Zahra, her and her mother have this fashion store for Muslim women, and I know they have a Facebook, but I'm not sure if there's like a website. But it's called Al Amana Fashion, and they have a Facebook. I'm gonna put it in the description box, inshallah. We have my sister Shakura, and she's the one that put me on to Essential Nutrients. And she has a book. She's a spoken word artist, as well as a seamstress, and she does a lot of stuff, mashallah. But she's got this book called Poise, and it's a book of poetry. And so her book can be found on Amazon. Another sister is Sister Hashima Watts of Modesta Inc. She has hijabs, hand dyed, and and accessories. So I will post her link. She's also on Instagram. I think everyone that I'm going to mention is on Instagram. We have my sister-in-law, Akila, and she has Koi Lifestyle, where she sells clothing that are semi-casual to modest, like bohemian type skirts and lots of cute things there. We have Claudia Noor, and she has halal all natural cosmetics. I think I got a lipstick from her. And so it's halal, and I believe it's like voodoo friendly. I believe it's voodoo friendly. So definitely check her out. Her lipstick was so creamy and it smelled good. It was like lotion. It was like putting on colored lotion. Mashallah. So I'll definitely put her. We have Sister Amina of Marian Poppins, and she describes herself as a Quran journalist, an educator, and a sticker maker. And she also has a blog. That's kind of how I found her. She wrote a story about like this polygyny marriage, and it was so interesting. So I loved her writing. And then That's when I learned that she's like an artist and she's got these beautiful Muslima stickers, and she's got, I believe, like Quran planners with like Quranic drawing. It's really, really, really cute, alhamdulillah. So that's Sister Amina of Mariam Poppins. And then her twin sister is Amira of Traditional Muslima Homemaker. She has Facebook and she's an author. I think I have all her books. I believe I have her books. Her books have recipes, advice on marriage, on parenting. And it's just overall a good motivation for all women. And I do know, I believe she's also involved in holistic healing with herbs. I believe she's like an herb specialist. So definitely check her out. If you're ever in SoCal area and you are in the Venice Beach area, if you're near Venice Beach, if you're on the strip, on the oceanfront walk, my friend, my sister Naima, she has two stores, the Egyptian Museum and the Egyptian Bazaar. Her and her husband, mashallah, she's got oils, she's got those stones, she's got everything, incense, she's got all types of artifacts. Mashallah, beautiful. So if you're ever in the Venice Beach area, please check out her stores. There is Medina Books in LA. I was actually there this weekend. Mashallah, the cutest place. They have religious books, oils, natural products, and they even have groceries. And so I was there this weekend for a book launch. Mashallah, again, all black owned. All these sisters, mashallah, they created what's called Everyday Ibadah, and uh, they they created learning materials and educational textbooks for preschoolers and kindergartners. So they have books on math, they have books on sight words, they have, and so the regular textbooks that we get, whether you're homeschooling or your child goes to regular school or you just want to be more proactive in your child's education, you will see that oftentimes we don't see ourselves. Our children aren't going to see themselves in these textbooks. Um, Especially, if we're colored, and especially if we're Muslims. And so their textbooks, mashallah, have Muslim children, and it has, Islamic characters, and it's just Islamic, it's Islamic based, so that the children, they feel like, wow, this is talking to me. If I'm doing math, one, five dates take away two. They can kind of relate to that. They have Arabic names for the children. They have, so and so is going to Hajj, and stuff like that. So I feel like that was kind of awesome. So again, they had a book launch this weekend. They have a website. Again, everyone that I'm mentioning is going to be in the description box, their link, so that you can check them out. And is that everyone? So that's everyone so far. I was just trying to real quick trying to put it down. So in supporting your community, let's buy our books, let's get our hijabs, I'm talking to myself first, I'm talking to myself first. So I'm doing my part with just sharing with you all of the, some of the sisters that came to mind to me that I feel like you can, we inshallah should invest in. Please follow their social networks. Please, share. Please invest. And if you do, can you just say, Naomi sends salams, to everyone. I'm gonna put the links again in the descriptions. So then finally, my opinion on how we can help and support one another. So then I go back, is to be informative. Let's be informative and not so much opinionated. Number two, let's support our community. And then number three is, inshallah, we should offer social and emotional support. So we should either create groups or attend groups. And if we live in a place where it's too far, or my kids are too little, or I don't have a car, even like this, online, there are many classes that I know of in the SoCal area, for example, where they offer all of the classes online, some of them even live. So you can ask questions in the chat room and the teacher can, live answer your questions. So and yeah, and I know that especially on Facebook and stuff like that. I don't have Facebook or Instagram, but I do know that there are groups, there are support groups. So I just encourage that we do that, either create a group or attend a group. I know for where I live, my closest friends and I were kind of known for these tea parties that we used to have, and inshallah, we will start them up again. And alhamdulillah, they were a huge blessing. There's never tea there. It's just funny. It's like it's never tea. Like we just eat, we just talk, we just catch up with what's going on in your life. You know, someone's having a crisis. This sister needs that. I need to offer this, and it's it's just an awesome feeling to know you have a group of sisters who and where you can just be yourself. And yes, you're gonna have your catty moments. You may even have some relationships that fall apart. You may have some sisters you don't get along with, but it's all kind of like trial and error. Like just get up in there, go into these groups, and just, you know, Allah will guide you. And slowly but surely, you will start to create your little, you know, your sister circle, inshallah. So, let's see, another good thing to do is to attend halakas. I used to have halakas in my house like once a month, and alhamdulillah, this other sister that I know, so Jamila, she knew of a sheikha, and she would come, and mashallah, she was just the bomb. But she had to stop because she was furthering her education. So now we're trying to start that back up again. So, but in the meantime, because I haven't been able to host the halakas, I try and attend halakas even if I don't know anyone, you know, subhanallah. So that's, don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid to just go. Usually that they're at a sister's house. Just go. Just go, go, go. You know, force yourself. Um, Another good support in the social and emotional for our sisters um is to share your personal and your family celebrations. You know, for, you know, I don't know if people celebrate birthdays with their children, but if you do, you know, go and attend a sister's child's birthday, even if you don't have a child. If you don't believe in birthdays, you don't celebrate birthdays, okay, then let's do like Eid together or random picnics. Again, over here in SoCal, we have random picnics for just no reason. Alhamdulillah, but it's good. It's just good and refreshing. Women need that. We need to see each other. We need to uh, be in a place where we feel like, okay, we're all women, we're all Muslims, and then we can just kind of like be ourselves and, you know, form relationships. And especially our children need to see that as well. Let's see. So I've already said like community picnics, uh, attending educational classes at the local mosque. Sometimes, usually, they have classes at the mosque, whether it's a convert class, an Arabic class, whether it's sisters halakha usually. So I would definitely encourage, you know, starting there in the whole realm of social and emotional support, because you will meet sisters that are just like you, that are trying to learn about the deen. And don't be afraid to introduce yourself, like, hi, my name is Naomi, Assalamualaikum, you know. Don't be afraid. You know, sometimes we look at people and they may look like they don't want no one talking to them and bothering them, and they may be looking at you and thinking the same way. So someone has to break the ice, you know, inshallah. So just my opinion on just different ways to just try to create social and emotional support for sisters. So kind of recapping on that, that is in like create a group or attend a group, go to halakas or host a halakas, even if like myself, even if you feel like you're not qualified to teach a halakah or to talk at the halakah, invite a sister who you feel like is qualified to your house and host it. But also, you know, you don't need any, like, you don't need a teacher in reality to do a halakha. Like, you could do a halakha by yourself, and you can just, you know, talk about, you can share. Everyone has something to share. Everyone has something to teach. You know, we're all teachers in some capacity. So don't even let that discourage you. Um, yeah, so getting in touch with your local mosques and try to figure out what are the sisters doing. Don't be afraid. Subhanallah, I know it's easier said than done. Don't be afraid if you're the only, you know, person of color, if you're the only person of the African diaspora, if you're only person with children, if you're the only person without children, if you're the only person who's married, if you're the only person that's single, just go. Just start somewhere. Say Bismillah and just start somewhere. Again, this is for, you know, those of us who need help with the social and emotional support. Because it's hard. Like it's hard for everyone, and we need a space where it's not just this formal Islamic Asalaamu Alaykum, we're about to do prayer. Asalaamu Alaykum, we're about to start, class. We need somewhere where you can just be a friend. You can just have a friend and be a friend and just build a friendship and a sisterhood where, inshallah, you guys can just be there for each other. And so then, four, how can we help and support each other? And these last 2 points are like kind of like for ourselves. So in helping and supporting others, we have to take care of ourselves too. And so in taking care of ourselves, the number one thing is your family and your home life. So this is a reminder to me first and to my sisters is that our first responsibility is to our family. So like as bad as we want to go to that march, as bad as we want to go protest, alhamdulillah, mashallah, if your kids haven't eaten and they're hungry or the house is upside down, maybe not the house, you can always clean it. You can always clean. That's not an excuse. But if your kids or your family or your spouse or your mother or anything like that, always make sure home is good. Like always make sure home is good. Like home is our first responsibility. And there is where we should be serving first. And I know it's easier. It's easier to help other people because you can just, when you watch other people's children, like I know me, like you're like nicer to them. You have way more patience for their children, because in the back of your head, I'm about to leave, you're about to go home, and this will be over soon. But when it comes to our, families and things like that, we get more blessings out of it because it's not as easy. That's the mercy of Islam, alhamdulillah. The mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that, yes, our first responsibility is to our family. And in being that, while it may feel harder, you get way more blessings than if you were to go out and volunteer at a soup kitchen every day of the week. If you are neglecting home, if you're neglecting those, your neighbors, those who are in close proximity to you, then Allah knows best whether you get benefits for it or not. But we have to take care of our family first. And in taking care of our family and in taking care of our home life, I think that for those of us that are parents, with this day and age of social media and crazy songs and music, and I think parents, we need to get all up in our children's business. Like we have to get in their business, and we have to try and fight to be the influence and the leader. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I don't believe in that in the concept of being your child's friend. Maybe people have different definition of the word friend. I feel like friend for me is someone like on your same level, someone you kind of like kick it with, chill with, someone that you can be like totally transparent. And I believe that there's a big difference. I have a child, for example, who is 7, and then I have a child that's 22. So there's a big difference. I feel I'm more of a friend to my 22-year-old now that he is a man, but I don't kick it with him. Like there's still a level of respect that I have for him and he has for me. And so I think that we just have to not be afraid. Like don't get scared and say, if you ask your children about who you hanging out with, who are these friends? I saw on your social media this person is cursing. Is this your friend? Is this who you hang out with? Don't think you're gonna push them away. You're not gonna push them away. You're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not. Even when children act like, especially teenagers, when they act like they don't want to talk to you, they kind of enjoy you talking to them. Like they are taking it in. Like they really are. They just don't know how to respond. So just kind of like be that positive, be that positive influence in their ear. Like, I love you, what's going on? Who is this person? I think you can do better. This and the third, so get in your children's business and be the influence. Let's stop with this, let's say even the thing with the YouTube. When certain, let's say, YouTubers, and they say they do crazy, take off their hijab, or who knows, right? And people be like, oh my gosh, you're an influencer. I can tell you, like when I started my channel, nobody asked me if I wanted to be an influencer. So this term of influencer is new. No one signed up to be an influencer, like not really. And if people are out and they're setting out to be someone's influencer, it's our jobs as parents, not only parents, if you have younger siblings, if you have cousins, if you have any child and teenagers, any youth, or you yourself, it is our responsibility to be the influencers, to go and to be that middle person and say, hey, You don't even know Beyonce. Like, you don't even know Lady Gaga. Like, these are strangers just because they have a lot of money, just because they have this high status, just because they're beautiful. You don't know them. You don't know them. And so, wow, the youth is looking, they're looking for leaders, and they're looking for, people are drawn to power and beauty, and that there's a challenge. We have to show the power and the beauty and being Muslim, especially Muslim women, especially for our daughters, and even our sons. So inshallah, may Allah make it easy for us to be the influence and to direct our children to the best example, Prophet Muhammad SAW, and the mothers of Islam, may Allah be pleased with them, and that example. But no, you can't do it alone. So you don't be too hard on yourself. So if you try to talk to your children, try to get around other sisters who have children that are of the same age as your child, and perhaps they can be a good influence on each other, or they can be some type of support system. So, just make dua. Allah will make it easy for you in regards to the attempt. Now, the result, Allah knows best. It's best to try, and at least you walk away. And if your child ends up crazy and off the hook when they get older, you can say, I honestly tried my best. I gave you the best that I had, and I never told you to do those things. I tried to, be a good influence, and you are clear in regards to you at least trying, and it doesn't stop. Like I said, my oldest is 22, and parenting doesn't stop. It just changes. So again, parents, let's take the time to get all up in our children's business. Let's try to be the influence, and let's take control of our homes. Again, even if you're an older sibling, depending on your parents and how much power you have, uh, take control of your home. I find it crazy when, I hear parents and they say, my child, they're just on technology and I can't. I'm like, turn off the Wi-Fi. Like, turn off the Wi-Fi. Like, I can't get my child off the phone. You pay the bill. Like, you pay the so. I don't know. Like, I grew up, well, my grandmother, God bless her, she was old school from Puerto Rico. And my grandparents, if we were up too late watching TV, they would go to the circuit breaker box and they would cut the electricity off. Forget the Wi-Fi. This is back in the day. They would be like, go to sleep. And they would just cut the power off. So I always feel like, I'm not saying be that extreme, but, you know, take control of your home and environment, and at the end of the day, I know, okay, yes, okay, you take away the cell phone, you take away the games, and don't take them away. Just don't let your child be on them forever for 5 hours. But then it's like, wait a minute, some of us are used to it. Like, some of these things are pacifier for our children, and we're so busy. We are working jobs, we're trying to come home, we're trying to cook, we're trying to clean. So we don't realize, we're like, oh, it's only for like an hour. And then you say to yourself, you know what, but they're calm right now, and I need to do laundry, and I need to cook, and I need to do this, and I need to go to work, or I need to do that. um but then we end up paying for it, and then when we start to see how this kind of hurts our children in the long run, we look to other people to fix it for us. We go to the school and we say, he needs a counselor. We go to the school and we say, oh, I want the psychiatrist to come talk to my kid and fix this. I want an imam to mentor my child. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like we should always ask for help. I'm just saying, don't expect for other people to do for your children what we're not doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not investing, and if I'm not sacrificing and saying, I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish we could both be watching TV and binging, but we gotta go to the park. And, being a parent takes a lot out of you, but you have to do it. If you don't do it, who's going to do it? So, and again, no one's perfect. And it's all in the intention and in the attempt, inshallah. Um, so, and in closing to that whole helping helping each other and supporting one another is starting with our family and our home life, is talking to your children about your business too. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really want to go to that protest, or, well, I'm not gonna say protest, but like, if you want to go to volunteer somewhere and your child is of age, talk to them and include them. Like, hey, let's go, come with me. Hey, I wanna go here. I need your help with that. And kind of invite your child into your life in that type of way, so they can see that my mom is not just someone who cooks and cleans or goes to work or pays bills or just runs us around. My mom is passionate about this, or my mom is artistic, or my mom is a writer. Like, show that side to your child, and they will support you, inshallah. They will see it, and they will look up to you, inshallah. And what was I gonna say? Because I think sometimes when we don't talk to our kids, that's when you go into that hypocrite thing. When you don't tell your children, I made mistakes, or okay, like I I want to be a writer, or when you let your child into your personal goals, I think that we're afraid that our children are going to see our flaws, and they're going to think that we're hypocrites, but that's not the case. I think what real hypocrisy is people who go out. May Allah forgive us all. People who go out and they serve these other communities while their houses is like burning down. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that I saw. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in Islam. I'm sure it does. No, nobody is perfect. But that's something that I saw in the church. Like, there is, for example, a very prominent bishop. And mashallah, he's good. I read his books and stuff like that. Um but his daughter got pregnant at 14. And I'm just like, what? You see what I'm saying? So, you know, there's, and it's not, I'm not saying it's his fault, and I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying we got to make sure that while we're off trying to save the world, that our house isn't burning down. That if you don't have children, your younger brothers and your sisters, or your cousins, or the youth, or your parents aren't suffering because we're being negligent, because we're trying to help other people, where we're going to get accolades, and you're so kind, and look at, you're so sweet, but we come home and it's like, I gotta take care of you, and I'm not. No one's even gonna know. I can't even post that. Like, subhanallah. So then, finally, in helping and supporting one another, and uh, yeah, helping and supporting one another is even getting deeper with the self. Is to is to kind of like help better ourselves, is to dissect ourselves, is to analyze and be critical of ourselves. Like, don't put yourself all the way down, but if you want to make real change in the world, I know it sounds cliche, but for real, if you want to make real change in the world, is to change us. For example, if you feel, that in your workspace, maybe you feel like this person is racist, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you try to really, like, if your goal is, I'm just gonna convince this person that their views on my race is incorrect, and I'm gonna like heal them, you're not gonna win. That's not your problem. That's their problem. That's their mental disease. That's their issue. Our only question is to ask ourselves, hold on a second, am I fueling their prejudice? Am I being a good example? Like, am I being a stereotype? Am I helping fuel the stereotype and the justification of racism? Which that's not true. I'm not going to say that there's an example like, oh, we should stop wearing hoodies. I don't believe that at all. But I'm just saying, as long as you are just being the best person that you can be, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you are treating that person with respect without getting abused, then that person is not your problem. So, so we have to, instead of looking at, I want to help my coworker to not be racist, be like, you know what, I want to I want to be promoted. I want that person's job. That person's a racist. They don't deserve that position, or use that to kind of like help ourselves in a more beneficial way. So, so again, so the best way to help others is to help ourselves. Also, if you need help, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for therapy. Don't be afraid. That's why I feel like the social is so important, because even asking your friends for support, it's okay. Like, send a text message, I'm lonely, or I'm sad, I need the eyes. Don't ever feel like, even if in the worst case scenario, say you text the wrong sister and she's like the biggest gossiper in the world, and she told everybody your business, and you trusted her, I'm telling you, it's going to come back to you in goodness. It's going to come back to you in rewards, because when you ask for help, and if someone abuses it, that's between them and Allah. Don't ever feel like, well, now I'm going to regret it. Look, she told my business, and I'm never going to open up to anyone else again. No, Allah will send you other people. Allah will say, hey, I heard, you know what I'm saying? Just trust in Allah, basically. Like, just trust in Allah. Just don't let your problems be, and your heartache be so strong that it consumes you to the point where you can never ask for help. because you're afraid that it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse if you don't ask for help. You know what I'm saying? So may Allah grant us healing and support and all that. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Therapy, counseling, um, financial help, whatever, to help with your kids, help with cleaning the house. Let your mosque or your ummah or your circle, it's okay. And then, but that's why I feel like we have to have these groups so that we can be available to one another. So we can say, hey, here goes my number. If you want me to babysit, you know what I'm saying? Hey, here goes my number. If you need help cooking or anything like that. Like, that's why I feel like forming these sisterhoods and these friendships is so beneficial, because we're gonna need them in the long run. We're all gonna need each other. We can't exist in this world alone. Allah made us a communal a communal people. So all right, so then I guess my last 2 points are, we need to be open-minded and we need to welcome diversity. So, in my channel, for example, one of my most popular videos is about polygamy, and I get the most craziest comments. Some people think that I'm bashing it, which I'm not. Some people, um, I get the craziest. I get, but they're from Muslims. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, like, I'm not saying nothing haram. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying anything. Trust me, I do my homework. Like, I go to classes. I'm not a sheikh or anything like that. But I have teachers. Like, I have teachers, and I kind of like stick when it comes to deen. I'm not a teacher or anything like that. I kind of stick to the general consensus. I kind of stick to, there's 5 schools of thoughts. I follow I'm not going to say which one, but I follow the most popular, the one that 80% follow. So if you know what I'm talking about. So I follow that school of thought. And, but I know that we have to be open-minded. If there is, say there's a sister and she believes women aren't allowed to wear colors, I'm not going to argue with her. MashaAllah, with your black. MashaAllah, you look pretty in black and brown. MashaAllah, why? If there's a sister and she feels like, there are some sisters who feel like if you wear henna, that because it's so beautiful, that you should wear gloves. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with her. MashaAllah, the sister who, socks in salat, in the Jummah prayer, it's no socks. Hijab or no hijab, like, I'm good. Like, we have to be open-minded, especially with each other. We have to, again, it kind of goes into like the house. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's this kind of, I don't know if it's a concept or a theory, but it's like usual. I'm trying to say this in a nice way. Basically, it is believed that, like, for policemen, for an example, policemen and firefighters and people who work where they have to like be exposed to a lot of like verbal and maybe sometimes physical abuse, that they come home and they wreck shop. Not all of them, but there's a high, especially people that are in the that are policemen or security officers or work in correctional facilities. They have a high underweight. They have a high. It's like not reported, but they have a high rate of domestic abuse. They high rate of abusing their families because they go out and in their, I guess in their mentalities, whatever, they're in such hostile situations where they really can't do what they want to do. Sometimes they do, but so they come home and they take it out on the ones closest to them. And that's kind of what we do as humans in general, not just people who work for the public. But I see that happening even with us Muslimas. Sometimes it's easier to attack Naomi Saif and say, hey, you said this wrong, you didn't dot this T, but you don't want to go out and go give dawah. You don't want to go out and fight against Islamophobia or xenophobia or racism. You don't want to go out and you don't want to go toe to toe and attack someone who is, disrespecting our Prophet ﷺ or disrespecting, Islam in general. You don't want to do that. It's easier to talk about me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to be open-minded. We need to welcome diversity. We need to stop abusing one another. And that was also another video that I did, which was about Dina Tokyo. And I got some comments also where people are like, oh, she's liberal. Oh, she's this. No, she just don't know Dina Tokyo like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that that's not Islamic. That's why nobody has like hadith or Quran or anything to come at me with it. Like, it's not Islamic to bash people on social media in the public square that you don't know, that you're not going to make an impact on. You're just taking their name and their experience and you're just dragging it. You're being judgmental, and you're a Muslim. It's like, if we're not going to protect each other, who is? Now, I'm not saying, okay, we don't have these conversations in the sidebar and say, hey, what's going on? This is appropriate and this is not appropriate amongst ourselves. But no, I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to fight my own sisters when I have other things to do, and vice versa. I wouldn't attack. I don't attack anybody in general, but I always find it just crazy how, like I said, these Muslim sisters, supposedly Muslim sisters, come on my channel and they do these comments, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, don't you, like, aren't there other channels, other, women that are racist that you can be after? Women that are racist, women that are xenophobic, women that are Trump supporters. Go get them. Like, leave me alone. Like, we're supposed to be family. I don't fight my family. Like, I don't. So yeah. And then being in that, let's say, so in being open minded and being and welcoming diversity is to also try our best to not make others who are different from us feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I feel like we kind of do that. Maybe we mean to, maybe not. Like, I feel like I kind of get it both ways in a way. Well, I'm not gonna say both ways, but I feel like sometimes, for an example, if I go to a certain masjid and I don't talk, they'll assume that I'm Arab, and then I feel like I get an attitude because she thinks she Arab, she thinks she better, she thinks this. And then kind of when I talk, it's like, oh no, okay. You know what I'm saying? And but what if I was? Do you know what I mean? Like, not all Asians or Arabs or quote unquote foreigners, everyone is not the same. And we all have different cultures. Um, and then I get it, and vice versa. I've been in situations where I'm the only colored person. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh, she's this American, or maybe sometimes they think I'm African American, or who cares? Do you know what I'm saying? So we got to try our best to, we know what it's like to receive that. I think that, especially as women of color, we know what it's like for someone to make us feel like you're invisible, or make you feel like you're less than, or make you feel like you're not welcomed, or you're not doing it right. And so that hurts, and it takes a lot of healing. But I feel like in order to rise above that, we have to try our best to not do that to other people in return. So all right. So, and then in closing is, how can we help and support one another? Is just, let's just learn about each other, whether it be culture or family. Like, let's just offer to just extend ourselves to just, you know, I'm always trying, like, all my friends are diverse. I have friends that are Sudanese, African American, Mexican, everybody's Muslim, mashallah and alhamdulillah. But I know some people who are like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not saying be like me and be greedy. I eat anything. I'm just using food as an example. But go, and especially if you're invited, just go and just learn about other people's culture, and then teach about your culture too. People aren't going to know unless you tell them. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me if I said anything that was incorrect, offensive, or wrong. Ameen, and may Allah bless me. Um, and you, if I said anything that was correct and that can be of benefit to me or anybody else. Thank you guys so much. Asalaamu Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.